Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Genoa City never stayed quiet for long, and this week, the tension in the air was thick enough to suffocate. It all began the moment word spread that Matt Clark had been released. The news hit like a shockwave. At the Newman ranch, Victor Newman stood near the fireplace, his expression carved from stone as he delivered the update. Matt was free and already gone, disappeared, no forwarding address, no warning, just vanished. Across from him, Nick Newman clenched his jaw so tightly it ached, his pulse pounded, his mind raced. And beneath it all, the secret. He had already dipped into the fentanyl stash again. He told himself it was just enough to take the edge off, just enough to steady his nerves, but even as he stood there listening to his father's warning, he knew he was losing control. Beside him, Sharon Newman watched carefully. She knew Nick better than anyone, the tension in his shoulders, the flicker in his eyes, the way his moods were shifting too quickly, too sharply. He wasn't okay. Victor's voice cut through the silence. Matt had taken off immediately after release. That alone meant danger. Sharon's stomach twisted. If Matt was gone, he was planning something. And that meant they had to move first. Across town, Victoria Newman had her own agenda. She cornered Nick later that afternoon, her tone controlled but urgent. She needed him to fly to Milan with her. There were business matters to handle, delicate ones, and she wanted backup. But that wasn't the real reason. Victoria wanted to use Summer Newman as leverage against Phyllis Summers. Phyllis had been spiraling again, pushing boundaries, interfering where she didn't belong. Victoria believed the best way to contain her was through Summer. Nick stiffened immediately. "You're not dragging my daughter into corporate warfares." Victoria's expression hardened. Summer is already in it whether you like it or not. Nick's temper flared, hotter than it should have, too fast, too volatile. Victoria noticed. She studied him carefully. "What's going on with you?" "Nothing." But it wasn't convincing. The anger faded almost as quickly as it had appeared, replaced by exhaustion, a strange detachment. Victoria felt the first chill of suspicion. Something wasn't right. Later, Sharon confronted him gently. She didn't accuse, she didn't attack. She simply asked if he was taking his medication properly. Nick brushed it off, said he was fine, said she was overreacting. But Sharon had already seen the red flags. The restlessness, the irritability, the secretive behavior. And deep down she feared the truth. Nick had relapsed. Meanwhile, in another corner of Genoa City, Noah Newman was reunited with Sienna Bacall. Their reunion wasn't romantic, it was urgent. Sienna had returned because of Matt. She believed he wouldn't stop. And Noah made one thing clear: if Matt came anywhere near her, he would regret it. He meant it. When Sharon and Nick joined them, the atmosphere turned serious. They laid everything out. Matt's history, his obsession, his unpredictability. They couldn't just sit and wait. They needed a plan. Nick leaned forward, eyes sharp. If Matt thought he could terrorize them from the shadows, he was wrong. They would draw him out, set a trap, and end this. Victoria eventually joined the conversation, reluctantly aligning herself with the plan once she realized the stakes were personal, not corporate. For once, the Newman siblings stood on the same side. Elsewhere, trouble brewed in the business world. At Newman Media, Audra Charles was juggling chaos. She had partnered with Sally Spectra under Billy Abbott's leadership, a move that had angered half of Genoa City. When Noah discovered Audra was working alongside Sally after Billy had essentially stolen Newman Media, he was furious. To him, it was betrayal layered on betrayal. Audra refused to back down. She was thinking strategically, survival first, loyalty second. Oddly enough, she found unexpected common ground with Kyle Abbott. Both of them were tired of living under Newman dominance. Their shared resentment forged a temporary alliance. But the peace didn't extend everywhere. Sally and Chelsea Lawson collided in a fiery confrontation. Chelsea demanded Newman Media back. Sally refused. "It's not up to me," Sally insisted. "I'm contractually obligated." Chelsea wasn't satisfied. And with Adam Newman quietly watching from the sidelines, more trouble was clearly brewing. Audra later pulled Sally aside. "You're about to make a mistake that could cost everything." She wasn't wrong. One wrong move could collapse Spectrachar's Media before it even had a chance. At the same time, another bombshell was detonating. Devon Winters finally pieced it together. Kane Ashby had orchestrated Lily's disappearance. The realization hit like a betrayal straight to the heart. Devon confronted Kane with barely restrained fury. "You used my sister as leverage." Kane didn't deny it. He justified it. Said he had no choice. That was the wrong answer. Devon's anger erupted, explosive, raw. And he wasn't done. With Nate Hastings by his side, Devon turned his attention to Victor. Because if Kane was involved, Victor likely knew more than he was saying. Victor remained cool under interrogation. But even he couldn't fully control the ripple effect this time. Meanwhile, Phyllis was fighting her own war. After a brutal argument with Daniel Romalotti Jr., she found herself isolated. Daniel had finally reached his limit. Her chaos, her manipulations, her constant interference. When Kane approached her with a confession, an offer, she listened carefully. He needed leverage. She needed power. It was almost poetic. Phyllis began negotiating. Dangerous alliances were forming all over Genoa City. And no one was prepared for the fallout. Nick's condition deteriorated faster than anyone realized. The more pressure mounted, the more he leaned on the secret stash. He told himself it was temporary. Just until Matt was handled. Just until everything stabilized. But Sharon could see it slipping away. One night after another intense strategy session about the trap, she confronted him again. This time she didn't soften her tone. "You're using again." Silence. Nick didn't confirm it. But he didn't deny it either. And that was enough. The trap was set. False information leaked deliberately. A meeting location exposed just enough to attract attention. Security quietly positioned. Noah on standby. Victoria coordinating logistics. Sharon watching Nick like a hawk. The bait was irresistible. And Matt took it. He appeared exactly where they predicted, lurking, calculating. But what no one anticipated was how reckless Nick would become in the moment. When he spotted Matt, something snapped. Rage overtook reason. He lunged forward before security could intervene. It nearly destroyed everything. The confrontation was brutal, verbal at first, then dangerously physical. Matt taunted him, mocked his weakness, his addiction. Nick's control shattered. If not for Sharon and Noah pulling him back, the situation could have ended far worse. Matt was apprehended temporarily. But the victory felt hollow. Because now Sharon knew the truth wasn't just emotional. It was medical. Nick was spiraling. And if he didn't get help, Matt wouldn't be the only threat. Across town, Devon's pressure campaign intensified. Victor finally admitted partial involvement, enough to ignite Devon's fury further. Kane's justification crumbled under scrutiny. Lily's disappearance had consequences. Legal ones. Personal ones. And Devon made it clear there would be accountability. At Newman Media, Sally nearly made a catastrophic decision during negotiations. A rushed signature. A poorly structured deal. Audra stepped in just in time. "You're thinking emotionally," Audra warned. Sally hesitated. And for once she listened. The partnership survived. Barely. Phyllis finalized her tentative alliance with Kane, believing she could outmaneuver him eventually. Daniel watched from a distance, heart heavy. He loved his mother. But he couldn't keep defending her choices. And finally, an unexpected development reached Lauren Fenmore Baldwin. A business pitch. Unanticipated. Risky. Potentially transformative. She hadn't planned for expansion. But as she reviewed the proposal, a spark lit in her eyes. Opportunity. In a week defined by chaos, Lauren saw possibility. And she wasn't afraid to seize it. By week's end, Genoa City was shaken. Matt was contained for now. Nick stood at a crossroads between recovery and ruin. Victoria and Sharon formed an uneasy alliance. Devon prepared for retaliation. Phyllis aligned herself with danger. And Lauren considered stepping into a bold new future. Nothing was resolved. Everything was shifting. And the storm was only beginning.